We should never allow the government to decide what is acceptable speech and what is unacceptable speech. We should penalize behaviors, not opinions, and not speech. If you start trying to regulate speech, you start trying to regulate thoughts, you start trying to regulate beliefs rather than behaviors, there's no way that you're not going to abridge the constitutional rights of millions of Americans.
This video is for an individual known as Christian. He has a video YouTube channel called Adventures with Christian, and it all has to do with Area 51. And I did a video out of pure consideration to him relating to one video in particular. It had to do with his experience at Area 51 and waiting for that white bluebird bus that he always videotapes whenever they go out to the base or come back. I used just a small portion of his video where he's sitting down and he's discussing and kind of describing the actual shot that he claims that the U.S. security forces out there at the base had destroyed that segment of his video. And you talking about exploding. This guy just went paranoid, schizophrenic on me. That I would even want to try to visualize something that he himself couldn't capture on tape. He said he did 50 minutes worth of footage, and in 15 minutes worth of it survived out of that whole 50 minutes, meaning that 35 minutes of the footage was destroyed, he said, by the government. I took a shot and I conceptualized it by using like a reflection, because this is how he described the scene. He's sitting in his Jeep and he looks out the back of his rear view mirror and he says, I saw a total sheet of light coming from the clouds, because it had just been a major thunderstorm and there were low clouds. He said, I saw a total white sheet of light coming down, and he said they had to have turned all the lights on at Area 51, because he said you could see a total reflection of the base in those clouds. And he said you could see it all the way up to the top of the horizon of the clouds at the top, and it was just a total sheet of light going straight down. And I'm sure it went down below or behind the mountain, because that's where the base is. And the only other footage I used of his was to make a question to him about possibly going back to these gold mines that are they're pretty close to Area 51, and they were closed. And anyway, he just took total offense to the idea that somebody would want to try to be nice enough to visualize what he saw, and yet he couldn't get it on tape. I watched whatever footage he got, and it's just pitch black. There is no reflection of anything. So I decided, well, I'll do something nice for him. I'll try to create something that he might like, and maybe he'll find it helpful to him. I didn't have a problem with him using anything I had videotaped or made, but he sure did blow up at me. And the only way somebody takes an offense like what he's done towards me directly and personally is that he's a paranoid schizophrenic. He's crazy enough to think everybody's trying to hurt him. Nobody does anything good for someone else. That's why I decided I want to do this video. If anybody who knows who Christian is or has seen any of his videos on Area 51, pass the message on to him that you might have blocked me from leaving comments, but I can share and express how I feel about the video I did, whether or not you like it or whether you call me a troll, you call me an idiot, you can't grasp in your mind, a narrow mind I might add, of why somebody else would want to do something nice for you. My question was, go back and not look down into those lowest chambers of that mine shaft where you were at, and look for any evidence that the Air Force may have blocked up those particular sections in the lowest levels where that elevator shaft was. And that's what I asked in my video. But now you see him blow up, and you think, well, how am I going to ever get through to this guy that it wasn't in my intention to upset him, it wasn't my intention to get him to think that I was trying to use his footage in some way to get benefit for myself. For him not even to look at my channel and see how few views I have, it's laughable. What am I going to do with his footage that I'd even get any kind of a massive view on my channel or on this particular video of what I've done? On average, I get between maybe 10 and 20 views, and that's it. My oldest videos that I've posted way back in 2010, 2009, those are the ones that have a lot of massive views, because that's when YouTube really started to take off as a service. And he didn't even look at that. I'm sure he knew what I had said, and I know from what he responded to me, it's like he didn't even care about looking at my other videos to see what kind of an audience do I have. How am I going to hurt him if I don't have that many views from anybody else? So I've decided to do this video today to bring up a question to him or to somebody who knows him and say, hey, you know, why are you so upset about this when the guy doesn't have really any audience as far as people who watch it? I don't have 100,000 subscribers like he does, and that's the truth, he does. As a matter of fact, if he ever watches my video, I say this: I don't get donations, okay? I don't want donations. When I do my videos, it's because I'm hoping other people enjoy it, not so it puts money in my pocket. And I'll tell you something else. I donated $10 to this guy Christian after he blew up and said, oh, you an idiot, you're a troll, you're this. I figured maybe this will appease his agitation, his paranoia of what I try to do and showing anything of his video. I gave the guy $10. I donated it through PayPal. Now, what will probably happen is he'll retaliate and say, no, I don't want your money, and he'll send it back. And I'm like, fine, you don't want the money, you don't want the donation, that's fine. I'm just trying to say I don't show other people's videos in my videos or on my channel to rip off anybody else. I use it because there's a law that's called fair use, which means you can use small sections of a video of someone else's for your own purposes if it's for the education of other people, if it's for satire, if it's not for making money. And Christian is so paranoid, he thinks that what I was trying to do was to use his video to make money for myself. And I don't use and accept money from other people. I don't take donations for one reason. I've always believed that YouTube was supposed to be a free service where everybody can enjoy something that you post without worrying I'm ripping off somebody else because I'm taking in money and I'm using something else that I've posted. In other words, I'm ripping off somebody else. I don't. I've never done that. I never will do that, because I think YouTube was intended to be free. It was never intended to be a program or a service where other people made money off of what you might end up using from somebody else's video. I would never do that. So, before I end my video, I'm going to bring up a couple of images that I've seen, that I finally found, of what related to that first video I did about Area 51. I showed you like a little drawing that I made of what people have said the lower levels inside the base look like. Well, I didn't have those conceptual drawings, and I found some, and I thought, well, these are just snapshots. I'll show them to you as I'm discussing this. But I've got to do this for Christian. If you remember last year, we had an eclipse, or it could have been in 2017. What did we all use? These blinders. You see this? You can't see anything through these. That's you, Christian. You're so blind, you think everybody's trying to hurt you. Everybody is trying to do something that's going to undermine whatever video you're posting. And you're totally wrong. Nobody does everything that's in contradiction to what you think, or that they're trying to hurt you or trying to rip you off and make money from whatever you posted. I don't do that, and I never will do that. So you can live in your little blinders about the eclipse and think it's pitch black in here, I can't see anything. That's because you don't want to see anything. That's exactly how people look at Obama and how great he is. They don't look at what he did as president of this country. They just want to live in this little blinder type of lifestyle, like how horses have blinders and they can't see side to side, they only see straight ahead. That's what Obama's done to everybody. The same is true of individuals who are just so paranoid they cannot see it from the whole viewpoint. They have to see it only through blinders, one way. Oh, they're trying to rip me off. They're trying to whatever. Okay? What I say, though, is we all try to do what's right. We all try to do what's fair. I mean, I left a couple of comments on his Facebook page, and I brought up the fact that this guy is so paranoid, and I know why he's paranoid. Because he has already described in several of his videos that he's had 2 divorces in his life. He has 1 child, and you think, well, now you can grasp why these 2 wives left him, because if he has blinders on, he only sees it one direction. He doesn't see it from the concept. You have to think of everybody's feelings. You have to look at everybody's intentions and not just always think it's just one thing or one way, that they're trying to hurt you, or they're trying to discredit you, or to rip you off, or cheat you. That's totally wrong. It is totally a fabrication for your mind to believe that. I've also thought of the tragic fact that this guy is a miner. He works in a mine. Who can say all those years of inhaling whatever the mineral is that he's actually mining out, that it hasn't affected his mind? Maybe he's not totally a schizoid, paranoid, schizophrenic, because he's been affected and influenced by the environment he works in at these mines. Maybe it's made him mentally deranged. I don't know. But I feel like I'll never be able to reach out to this guy, Christian, because he'll never ever want to hear what I have to say about why I did that video. But it was not to discredit him. It was never intended to hurt anybody, except to try to ask questions that have been asked by several other people who know about Area 51. Stanton Freeman, as well as retired Colonel Wendell Stevens. Both those men are known UFOologists. They're very well credited as having been involved in the research of UFOs. They both have said there are massive underground bunkers below the area where they do all the research about, the aircraft and all the rest of it. And they have said there are aliens in those lower levels. So I'm not making this stuff up. When I brought up that subject in the video, it was because I hoped that's what he was wanting to find out himself, Christian. And now I can see it's sort of like it's a game for him. He goes out there to evade and to get away from those camo guys the Air Force security. He thinks it's a game because he thinks if I can keep away from these guys or get away with what I'm doing, he's going to get more views on his channel because he's doing things other people wouldn't even think about doing. That's crazy, you know? And he has also said in his videos that people have already arrested him. In other words, the Air Force caught up with him once or twice. He was arrested, and now he's got court cases coming up where he's actually been charged with trespassing. Any sane person would say, that's it, man. I've been caught. I'm not going back. He does. He goes back all the time. And in that frame of mind, yeah, I can see him being paranoid about everybody else. He thinks somebody's trying to steal his ideas, steal his video, steal whatever. It's like, you know, if you want to live in that sub-existence of reality, fine. But please don't draw other people into it, you know? I try to do videos that I think are interesting, not whether or not somebody is going to try and say, oh, I got to give you money for that. That's great, you know? I don't do that. And that's the only donation I'm ever going to give to Christian, because I did it for one reason, to say to him, I appreciate being called names, but at the same time, I do appreciate what you've done on your videos. But to say that I was trying to steal what I had done from whatever you posted, that's absolutely a lie. And you can believe whatever you want to believe. My own tragedy, if you know my channel, is my sister was murdered in 1983. The guy that was caught who killed 5 innocent people in that firebombing in Winn-Dixie, the doctors determined that he did have some paranoid schizophrenia, which means he had the delusion that he was doing something that was fighting against an unknown enemy in his mind. And this guy, he has some personality traits like that same individual that murdered all those people. He was paranoid. He was definitely psychotic because he believed something that wasn't true. So what did he do? He lashed out and he burned 5 people to death in a supermarket. He did. He used gasoline directly on my sister. She died in the store. 4 customers in her line received 3rd-degree burns from that fire, and they died the following week. I'm not saying a Christian would do that. I'm just simply saying that people who have deranged viewpoints, first they lash out at other people verbally, and then eventually, who knows what they might do. You know? Someday he might go out to Area 51 with a gun, and once those guys spot it, he won't be coming home again, because they are authorized to use lethal force on somebody who goes onto those grounds at that Air Force reservation. That's what it is. It is all military land out there. And he's playing with fire every time he goes on that base. And then he totally reacted to my video in saying, oh, you're trying to cheat me, you're trying to do something that's going to hurt me. No, that was never my intention. It was never my intention. Like I said earlier in my video, I want to end this with just a couple of shots that I got from some video that was done in the last 14 years by UFO TV. They did some actual visual artistic shots of Area 51. And I have actually I remember seeing another actual drawing that somebody did of the base. But now, having heard other videos about, like, one-on-one about UFOs, I think, well, maybe I visualized it myself after I heard all these descriptions. But these are the first drawings I've ever seen of the base, as far as how the security people that were working inside the base in those lower levels, this is how they saw it. So I figured I'd show it on this video today. And with Christian himself, I feel sorry for this guy because of how he perceives other people and what they do. And thank goodness there aren't a lot of people like Billy Ferry out there, because there's a lot of other innocent people who would be dead now if Ferry and others like himself were still at large out there potentially to kill somebody. That's a horrible way for anybody to die, Christian, to die by fire. And 5 innocent people did die. They were burned to death in that supermarket. And I say, if you don't have any feelings about other people's lives being lost because you think it's more important to condemn and to harass and to put down other people because they're trying to do something nice, then, Lord have mercy on you, because you cannot live your life thinking everybody is trying to hurt you, to reach out, to take something that you've done. You can't look at life like that. You have to try to see it from the positive, not the negative side of anything that goes on or happens. And that's why I did this video. I'm trying to reach out to this guy and say, you cannot hate people just because you think they're doing something wrong, that you think they're trying to hurt you. That's totally the opposite of what it was. It's never intended that I hurt somebody. That was never my intent. That was never my fondest thought, was to hurt somebody else. It was just to bring up a subject that I find interesting and hope somebody else finds it interesting too. But, if he ever sees this video, I'm going to say this. Use my donation. Do something good with what you're doing. But don't do it in an illegal way, thinking that you can play cat and mouse with these guys, at the base, the cameo dudes, because sooner or later they're going to catch you. Sooner or later you're going to do something, and it's going to go over the edge, and then you probably will never get back out of jail. Once that sheriff shows up and he arrests you and takes you to jail, that's it. You'll never get back out again. I mean, who's going to bail you out? So, protect your life, if not for you, for your daughter, for your future family. Think about others. Don't think about you and how others are trying to hurt you. Don't use that concept of hate. Think of what's good. Think of other people trying to do good for you, or to project themselves in a good fashion towards you. Not that they're trying to hurt you. Because that's exactly what you did when you said, I'm a troll, he's an idiot, he's trying to hurt what I've been trying to do on my channel. And that was not my intention. It's never been my intention. So, thanks for allowing me to share with everybody on YouTube how I feel about this subject, because he'll never let me leave a comment on his channel. He'll never let me leave a comment now on Facebook. So, if anybody ever sees this video and you know Christian, please tell him, I've shown how I felt about this subject. I've tried to project why I did the video, not to hurt anybody, but just to say this is what I thought you saw, and I wanted to show it to other people. Not to hurt or to try to steal anything you might have filmed. That was not my intention. So thank you all for watching.
Billy, I thought... 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 Billy, I th Billy. I thought
His name is Omran Daknesh, just 5 years old, and his feet barely hung over the edge of a seat in an ambulance. Dazed, he didn't cry as he wiped away blood and the dust from a building that collapsed around him in an airstrike. His silence somehow reminded the world today of its silence in the face of the atrocities in Aleppo. Omran was pulled out alive Wednesday. 5 other children died when the building they were in was hit during the relentless Syrian-Russian offensive on rebel-held areas in Aleppo. The image of Omran's face spread like wildfire on the internet. One tweet called him the real representative of the Syrian people.
Stop killing Syrian innocent people, civilian. Our children need to live in peace.
The doctor who treated Omran said today there were many more severe cases no one is paying attention to.
We need to protect our hospital, our doctors, our medical workers from airstrike.
Omran is recovering. His family now wants to escape. The same choice another boy's family made a year ago, Aylan Kurdi, whose body washed up on a beach. He too was a symbol of Syria's youngest victims. Now there's a new one. Tomorrow there may be another. Richard Engel, NBC News.
They've reported from around the world, challenged the powerful, and they bring all of this to every story that breaks.
We've got breaking news, and it's good news.
And touches your heart.
How do you even say thank you? Thank you is not big enough.
I made this.
The images shocked the world. Relentless bombings. Stunned survivors.
Hi, Allah khair yang berubah. Hai, I'm very good.